For over 1,000 years, humanity looked to the heavens and saw a universe that revolved around us. This was our truth, a divine order etched into the fabric of the cosmos. The earth, solid and unmoving, sat at the heart of creation. Around it, the moon, the sun, the planets, and the stars traced perfect circles in their celestial dance, all held in place by an intricate system of crystalline spheres. This was the geocentric model, a vision of the universe crafted by the great philosopher Ptolemy in the 2nd century. It was more than just a scientific theory. It was a cornerstone of philosophy, theology, and our very identity. Every sunrise, every sunset, every wandering star seemed to confirm this grand, earth-centered design. The church embraced it, scholars taught it, and for generations, no one dared to question it. It was a comfortable, reassuring model that placed humanity at the very center of God's plan. The universe was for us, and we were its purpose. But in the quiet corners of the Renaissance, a new age of inquiry was dawning. The world was changing, and with it, the very heavens were about to be moved. In the midst of this deeply entrenched worldview, a Polish astronomer and cleric named Nicolaus Copernicus began a quiet, solitary revolution. From his study in Frombork, away from the bustling centers of power, he spent decades observing the night sky. He was not a radical seeking to overthrow the established order, but a meticulous scholar troubled by the growing complexity of the Ptolemaic system. To make the model fit the observed movements of the planets, astronomers had added more and more layers of complexity epicycles, deference, equance, a confusing tangle of circles upon circles. To Copernicus, this cosmic machinery felt clumsy, inelegant. Surely, he thought, the Creator's design must be simpler, more harmonious. Poring over ancient texts and his own meticulous observations, he began to sketch out a different reality. By candlelight, surrounded by charts and instruments, he painstakingly developed an idea so profound, so challenging, it would take him most of his life to fully articulate it. He was looking at the same sky as everyone else, but he was beginning to see a completely different universe. The breakthrough came from a radical shift in perspective. What if, Copernicus dared to ask, the Earth was not the center? What if the sun, that great giver of light and heat, was the true anchor of the cosmos? He proposed a heliocentric model, placing the sun at the stationary heart of the universe. In this new arrangement, the Earth was just another planet, spinning on its own axis once a day and orbiting the sun once a year. This single elegant idea suddenly made everything simpler. The confusing retrograde motions of planets like Mars were no longer real wanderings, but mere optical illusions, created as our faster-moving Earth overtook them in its own orbit. The universe snapped into a logical, harmonious order. The planets were arranged by their orbital periods. Mercury, closest to the Sun, orbited fastest, while Saturn, the most distant known planet, moved the slowest. The seasons, the length of the day, the very rhythm of our world, it all found a new, more rational explanation. This was not just a minor adjustment, it was a cosmic dethronement. Humanity was no longer the centerpiece of creation. We were passengers on a spinning globe, hurtling through the vastness of space. Copernicus knew the revolutionary nature of his work. He was challenging not just 1,500 years of scientific consensus, but also the philosophical and religious foundations of his society. The idea of a moving Earth was counterintuitive and deeply unsettling. We don't feel the ground rushing beneath our feet. Why aren't we all flung off into space? For this reason, he hesitated. For nearly 30 years, his manuscript, De Revolutionibus Orbium Coelestium, on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres, remained unpublished. He shared his ideas only with a small circle of trusted colleagues, fearing ridicule and condemnation. He was a man of the church, a canon, and he understood the immense power of the doctrines he was questioning. He knew his theory would be seen as a direct contradiction of Scripture, which spoke of the sun rising and setting over a stable, unmoving Earth. It was only at the urging of his friends, particularly the young mathematician Georg Joachim Rediges, that Copernicus finally agreed to let his life's work be printed. The story goes that the first printed copy of his book was placed in his hands on the very day he died. In 1543, he had started a revolution, but he would not live to see its fire spread. The initial impact of Copernicus's book was not the explosion one might expect. It was a dense, highly mathematical work, accessible only to a small number of trained astronomers. Many who read it treated it as a clever mathematical trick, a useful tool for calculating planetary positions, but not a description of physical reality. The book's own preface, added by a Lutheran theologian without Copernicus's permission, even presented the theory as a mere hypothesis. But the seed had been planted. Over the next century, a new generation of astronomers took up Copernicus's mantle. Tycho Brahe, though he proposed a hybrid model, made unprecedentedly accurate observations of the stars and planets, providing the raw data that would be crucial for what was to come. Then, Johannes Kepler, a brilliant mathematician and mystic, used Tycho's data to refine the Copernican system. He discovered that the planets did not move in perfect circles, as even Copernicus had believed, but in ellipses. This discovery brought the heliocentric model into stunning alignment with observation. The universe was not just sun-centered. It followed precise mathematical laws. The revolution reached its dramatic climax with Galileo Galilei. In 1609, Galileo pointed a new invention, the telescope, toward the heavens, and what he saw shattered the old world forever. He saw mountains and craters on the moon, proving it was a physical world like our own, not a perfect ethereal sphere. He saw 4 moons orbiting Jupiter, a miniature solar system that proved not everything orbited the Earth. And he saw that Venus went through a full set of phases, just like our moon, something that was impossible in the Ptolemaic system, but perfectly explained if Venus orbited the Sun. Galileo's observations provided the first direct observational evidence supporting the Copernican model. He published his findings not in Latin for scholars, but in Italian for the common person, and the world was thrown into turmoil. His work was a direct public challenge to the authority of the Church, which led to his infamous trial and house arrest. But it was too late. The truth was out. The telescope had opened a window to a new cosmos, and there was no closing it. The Copernican Revolution culminated in the work of Sir Isaac Newton. Standing on the shoulders of giants like Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo, Newton formulated his law of universal gravitation. He showed that the same force that causes an apple to fall from a tree is the very same force that keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth, and the Earth in orbit around the Sun. With a single elegant mathematical equation, Newton explained the mechanics of the entire cosmos. The heavenly spheres were gone, replaced by the invisible, universal force of gravity acting across the vast emptiness of space. This was the final triumphant confirmation of the heliocentric model. The revolution was complete. The Earth was definitively not the center. The universe was a vast, mechanical system governed by impartial, physical laws that could be understood through reason and mathematics. The ancient mystical cosmos had given way to the modern scientific one. The Copernican Revolution was far more than an astronomical debate. It fundamentally reshaped humanity's place in the universe and our understanding of knowledge itself. By removing Earth from the center of the cosmos, it delivered a profound philosophical shock. We were no longer the focus of creation, but inhabitants of a small planet in a possibly infinite universe. This Copernican demotion was humbling, but also liberating. It opened the door to the idea that we were not just passive observers in a divinely ordered play, but active explorers in a vast, unknown territory. It championed the power of observation, mathematics, and rational inquiry over blind faith in ancient authority. It taught us that even our most deeply held beliefs about reality can be overturned by evidence. This shift in thinking laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution and the age of enlightenment, shaping the modern world in which we live. From that single, courageous idea that the earth moves sprang a new way of seeing, a new way of knowing, and a new universe of possibilities. The stars look the same as they did 1,000 years ago, but thanks to Copernicus and the revolution he began, we see them and ourselves in a completely new light. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the cosmos and human history. If you found this exploration inspiring, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the ideas that shaped our world. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, keep looking up.